Well, g'day curd nerds. G'day curd nerds. Well, 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 g'day curd nerds and welcome to Ask the Cheeseman. This is episode, what is it, 226A. And we slipped the A in there because, well, I had already scheduled 227 for Saturday, and then halfway through the week I decided to, why not have a Wednesday night version, because I was thinking to myself, and Kim mentioned it as well, that that UK, Europe, Africa and Asia and some of Australia can't watch the Saturday morning show, or the Sunday morning show, because it's either too early or too late. So we decided to do another show. So that's all good fun. A big g'day to everybody who's logged on so far. We've got 16 people at the moment watching, which is fantastic, and hopefully there's no lag or anything, and it seems to be working okay from what I can tell. Let's have a look. It says the stream's healthy. Well, let's pop on some music, shall we? See if that works. There we go. A little bit funky for the chat. Nice. Oh, that's not too loud. Anyway, let's say g'day to a few people. First person, Robin. Hello, Robin. Lovely to see you. Habib. Lovely to see you all the way from Lebanon. The Rent Reviews, 5 a.m. Must be, somewhere in the US, maybe? Yeah, let me know. Monique from Wollongong. Hello. Having a drink. Guess what? Me too. I've got a nice little tipple of bland here. Now, for those who might have watched the recent video, let's see. Is it going to focus? Hang on. I made some home brew. This is bland. This is made from fermented whey. And those who have watched the video, it's very, very clear. I know it's in an orangey sort of glass, but it's very clear. Tastes a bit like sherry. Delicious. I don't normally drink on the live stream, so this is a bit of a novelty, isn't it? So it's really good. Who else are we going to say to? Karma Mama. That's hard to say fast. G'day and welcome to the show. Michael in Adelaide. Lovely to see you, mate. Time for a glass of red or two? Indeed. And who else we got here? Oh, goodness me. We've got Emily. Hello, Emily. Love to see you. Rent Reviews is from Winnipeg, Manitoba. Goodness me. Yeah, 5 a.m. Hope you didn't get up just for me. Okay, let's have a look. We got some questions, but before we do, I'd like to a big thank you to all the YouTube members and patrons of the show. There's a list of all of the YouTube members. Thank you, one and all. I really appreciate your financial support. And also, there's all the patrons. Thank you, patrons, for your support. It's wonderful to see. Thank you so much. Without your patronage or your membership, then the show wouldn't go on. We wouldn't have 2 shows a week now. So how good's that? All right, I'm sure we've got some questions. Let's have a look. The first one's from Karma Mama. It says, hello there. I've made Stilton the last week on Thursday, the third day at room temperature. The cheese has turned blue already. Is that okay? I now have it in my cellar, which is 17 degrees Celsius. It is definitely okay. I notice when I'm making the Stilton around day 3 to 5, when you're turning it in the mould to make it firm up and dry out a little bit, it tends to start going blue on the outside. It'll get a lot bluer than that. Don't you worry about that. So by about day 10, I can't remember the recipe exactly, so by about day 10, then it's going to be ready to pierce. Once you've got a decent blue fairly well over, so give it a pierce. Now, I use my dairy thermometer. I just sanitize the probe just in boiling water and then stab it into the cheese as much as I can, basically. So that works very well. Okay. Michael says, hi, Gavin. Just relaxing Just finishing tea, cleaning up. Jenny is halfway through making sherbet tonight. Time for a red or two. Indeed, mate. Indeed. And, yeah, sherbets are great. It's basically goat's milk cream cheese, for those who didn't know. So, yeah, very cool. Karma Mama says, and is there a way to make a cheese grotto myself to lower the temperature? Yeah, there is, indeed. So, let me just bring up... Let me have a look. Let me see if... do I have a blog post about that? I'm sure I do. Very good. I'm sure we've got it somewhere. Next page. Let me just have a look. Is that big enough? Whoop, there we go. No, that's not the one. How to make it? There we go. This is the post I'm looking for. So this is... ads. Don't you just love them? So this is Little Green Cheese. This is my blog, as well as my podcast page. And it's just littlegreencheese.com. But I will just share this link. Can I share it? I've got to find the window. There are so many windows. Let's have a look. Whoop, there we go. There's the chat. So just sharing this link. This is for Karma Mama. You can see there that that this is the how to make a cheese fridge. So it talks about what I did, how I converted my little fridge into cheese fridge, what tools I recommend, and there's some affiliate links if you so desire to go and purchase, one of these devices, the Inkbird 308, which is really good. So hopefully that'll help you. So back to me, and no problems at all. Happy to help. So let me just, how do I clear that? Right, there we go. Any other fermented whey? Yes, it is very cool. Now I've got a question from Emily, and Emily says, hang on, let me just get the chat back there so I can see what I'm doing. Emily says, do you know how to fix or heal camembert cracks, superficial ones? Well, it depends on how bad the crack is. Usually the white mold will just grow all over the surface, regardless of whether there's a crack there or not. And it will actually self-heal itself, if that makes sense. So if you only got a superficial crack... Now, having said that there's a crack there, that may be an issue because it's not supposed to be that dry that it actually cracks. Camemberts are still fairly moist, and the paste develops over time as the white mold, the Penicillium candidum, or Penicillium camberti, there's interchangeable names. And if that changes, that changes the structure, the paste, by converting the proteins and making them go a lot softer. So that may be an issue. It may be not moist enough as well. But like I said, the white mold will grow all over it. Umbrella Grape Solutions Take 2 says, good morning from the UK, my favourite Cheeseman. Blue cheese is not my thing, but you are. I think that's not my thing. Thanks, mate. Habib says, when we're doing camembert or brie, is it better to use both Penicillium and Geo, or one of them could be enough? Good question, Habib. I tend to use Geo as well as Penicillium candidum because the Geo prepares the surface. So the Geo is, there's a debate whether it's a yeast or a mold. So I think it's leaning towards maybe a mold still. But that prepares the surface, that lowers the acidity of raises the acidity back closer to pH neutral, and allows the Penicillium candidum to grow a lot faster. So also the Geo prevents something called skin slip. So I tend to use it all the time, whether I'm using just a normal, the normal Camembert de Normandy recipe, that style, using raw milk, or even using a stabilised paste version where you use a thermophilic starter culture instead of a mesophilic. So that tends to work very well. And that prevents the skin from slipping off and going really gooey underneath. So hope that helps, mate. Bill Smith says, can you make Swiss cheese from goat's milk? Well, yes, you can. You can make Swiss cheese from goat's milk. Traditionally they're made using cow's milk, but yeah, you can make a cheese with eyes in it. Just follow the same sort of recipe. Probably the best one to use would be my Jarlsberg recipe, so go and check that out. And that's on the channel, and it's got everything there. And it's even in one of my 2 books, and I can't remember which one it's in. Probably the first one. Keep Calm and Make Cheese, which is available in the description below, I think. I follow the same process. Goat's milk has a bit more fat than cow's milk, so it should be a bit creamier, and the flavour profile will be a little bit different. But because you're adding propionic Shimani as the generator of the CO2 and provides the nuttiness, it'll tamper some of that goatiness that you normally get with goat's cheese down a little bit anyway. So that'll work. Next question's from Umbrella Grape Solutions Take 2 again. I'll just call you Umbrella. How's that sound? Karma, I just watered my plants with excess whey. Indeed, there's so many things you can do with whey. You know, bland is just one of them. But as far as I'm concerned, it's the best one. It's very nice. So yeah, you can water your plants only if they like acid. Remember that whey is slightly acidic, and don't put them on alkaline enjoying plants. So yeah, acid loving plants only. Tomatoes love them, by the way. I'll be planting my tomatoes out soon because it's spring here in Australia, so they do enjoy a healthy dose of whey when I've got some of it. Okay, Robin says, my first question, I think that's my first question ever. Right, so the question is, you have an unlimited budget, it's a dinner party, what's on the cheese board? Oh, goodness me. Unlimited budget. You know what I'd do? I'd grab a whole bunch of cheeses from Europe, and probably from South America, because I haven't tried a lot of South America sort of cheeses. I would fly them out somehow, fast, express them to Australia, and I would have a cheese board of the cheeses that I am unable to get normally. Might be a bit difficult getting them through customs, but you know, things like Camembert de Normandy, which I've never tasted the authentic thing because we can't get it here in Australia. You can't get the raw milk Camembert. You know, cheeses that some of the French cheeses that we can't get here, like real Roquefort, can't get raw milk Roquefort here either. So that'll be one I'd like to try. I'd like to try. There's some South American cheeses, and I can't remember the name of them at the moment. But there's a whole bunch of cheeses out of Brazil, Argentina, Uruguay, those areas on the other side of the Andes. And there's a lot of cheese making skills because, you know, a lot of Europeans settled there, obviously, and brought the cheese making skills with them. And I would love to try some of those cheeses. It would be just amazing. So yeah, I would try some of those things. But yeah, interesting question, and yeah, I couldn't really pick too many specific ones, but it'd be ones that I've never tried before, obviously. Okay. So no other questions yet, but one thing I did want to share was that I don't know how many people actually know that I actually have a podcast as well. So I've got a podcast page. I've got a YouTube channel that is a podcast as well. And one thing I'd like to do is show you that as well. But yeah, it's interesting. It looks like, I don't know if the stream's really staggered, but the feedback, the playback I'm getting, let me just change that down a bit, and maybe that'll work for me. It could be because Mike, Kim and Ben are watching TV or using the internet connection. Who knows? No, it looks all right now, so it's all good. Okay, Habib has a question and says, if it happens that my cheddar-style cheese is undersalted, and after a year of aging it is almost tasteless, too runny and gooey when under heat, and slightly bitter at the end, what is the best way of using it? So probably cheese sauce would be the only thing you could really use it for. If it's tasteless, then it's not going to go well melted anyway, and you're saying it's too runny and gooey. Look, it'd be all right as the base for a fondue. I don't know if you know what a fondue is, but it comes from Switzerland, and it's like a cheese sauce that you dip either vegetables or pieces of chunky bread into. Also has a bit of white wine in it, but that's not absolutely necessary. But yeah, fondue is perfect. And obviously you put other cheeses that have taste, like Gruyere, raclette. They're the main ones that they throw in there as well. But yeah, you could bulk it out with that. Or you can make a nice cheese sauce, definitely. Sounds like you could do, because when you cook cheese, the bitterness goes away. That's from my experience anyway. I've had a cheddar where I did that very thing. I didn't put enough salt into it, and it was slightly bitter at the end, which is a sign that it hasn't been either aged long enough or doesn't have enough salt. And yeah, I just made a cheese sauce out of it, and it was perfect. It was absolutely lovely. Worked very well in lasagna, which is a great dish where you can use a fair bit of cheese in that as well. So, Habib, hope that answers your question. Okay, yeah, so what else I was saying about the blog. Here we go. Is this the right thing? Have I got the right thing up? Yeah, using this software. Here we go. Right, so that's not the right. So the podcast. So there is a podcast. There is a video version as well. So you can go to YouTube, and it's here's the channel name that you can see here. Stop talking, Gav. It's Little Green Cheese Podcast with Gavin Weber. So if you haven't already subscribed to that, subscribe. I release at least one show per month. And when I've got a whole bunch of interviews, and I do have lots and lots of interviews here, as you can see, with guests that we've had on the show, mainly from the 12 Hours of Cheese live stream that we had. But yeah, so that's all pretty cool. But don't forget that that's there. But plus, if we... whoops, wrong one. This one here. If you go back to the blog, Little Green Cheese, all the audio versions there. You can subscribe by Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you name it, all that sort of stuff. Anyway, so that's how you do it. Don't want to muck that up. Right, there we go. All right, some more questions. So, Bill says, how long do you age Swiss cheese? So it depends on the Swiss cheese. There are many Swiss cheeses. Gruyere, typically 6 months, which has small eyes. Emmentaler, which is about, I think it's between 8 weeks and 3 months. So that has fairly rapid eye development as well. Raclette, I think that was about 4 months. So it depends on the Swiss cheese. There is no Swiss cheese. There is a variety that was invented in the US called Baby Swiss. But there is no cheese called Swiss cheese, if that makes sense, in Switzerland. So yeah, different styles, different stuff. So yeah. Anyway, now question from Karma Mama says, do you have a video on how to make cream cheese? Yeah, indeed I do. So let me just jump that out the way. I'll show you where it is. I'll show you how to search on the page. So, yeah, righto. There we go. So, we're at the Gavin Weber page. Now, if you want to search for anything, you go here. See this little search bar? So we put in cream cheese, and bingo bongo, we've got a whole bunch of different cream cheeses. So, the best one is this how to make French cream cheese. Now, can I No, I'd have to go here and share, and then share that in the chat. Here we go. So that if you're looking for any cheese that I've made before, then yeah, like I said, all you have to do is go to the main channel page, go to this search here. A lot of people don't even know it's here on YouTube. And what you're doing is you're searching the channel that you're looking at now. And yeah, just search for cream cheese or whatever your keyword is, and you'll be able to find it. So yeah, no worries, Karma Mama. Not many people know that search function is on individual channel pages. So yeah, anyway, so that's cool. So that's a feature, which is fantastic as far as I'm concerned. Okay. Alrighty. So right, so it's time. I'm just going to turn the music down if I can find where the heck I put it. Okay, yep. Let's pause that for a second. I've got some cheese jokes. Yeah, for those who watch the normal stream during the week, then yeah, you'll see that I do cheesy jokes. Normally at about 30 minutes past the hour, I do a gallery, so a cheese gallery. But what I won't do today is I won't do a gallery. I'll only do that on Sunday morning, my time. Anyway, got some jokes. Cheese jokes, of course. It says, how do they eat crumbly cheese in Wales? Carefully. Or is that kafili? There you go. Get my head out of the way. Depends on how you say it. I call it kafili. But anyway. All right. What cheese do you use to hide a small horse? Any takers? Mascarpone. Get it? Oh, goodness. These are the lamest dad jokes ever. Right. Right, another one. I got a good one here. Right, what cheese hides under the bed? Munster cheese. Goodness me. Right, I told you these were lame. Anyway, one more. Right, this is a good one. What is a cannibal's favourite cheese? Limburger. Get it? There we go. A Limburger. Very nice. Anyway, that's enough cheesy jokes. Alrighty, we'll get rid of that book for today. I don't hear anybody laughing, so it must be just me. Get the music back on again. Rightio. Mochi Bun has a question. It says, hi Gavin, my camembert were drying out a bit so I could put some cooled boiled water in the base of my ripening box. Will this be useful? I'm using the same boxes used in your Little Bert video. Yeah, so they're like the cake stands. Yeah, I know the one you're talking about. Yeah, so it is useful to put some water in there. What I have done in the past is I get just a chucks. I don't know if you have chucks for you. It's a dishcloth. It's one of those fibre dishcloths, and I get a new one, of course. And I boil it in the same water that I boil all my sanitised equipment and the stuff. The ones I managed to get, they're just on a big roll, and you rip a piece off. Anyway, so I keep that moist, damp, from the boiled water. And then what I do is put that underneath the mat. Now, if I'm using those red ripening boxes that you've seen on the channel as well, then yeah, I do that. The red ripening boxes, and put the damp cloth underneath that. I also do that when I'm using those the cake stand ones, the ones that have the rack a lot higher, that you've seen in the Little Bear video. So it works equally as well. And you notice that when the cloth is dry, then obviously moisten it again. But you got to check that. So in the first few days, certainly when the white mold is growing, Mochi Bun, make sure that the it's damp, and make sure that you turn it every single day, because what happens is, as the white mold grows, it sticks to the mat, and by turning it every day, you find that it won't stick, which is a good thing, and you won't get the rind won't peel off. It's quite horrible when it happens. Not horrible, I suppose, but it's more disappointing when you do it. That's for sure. So yeah, all cool. Shout out to Skittles, I think, latest subscriber. Thanks, Skittles. Hope you're watching. So yeah, very cool. Hope that works for you, Mochi Bun. All right. One other thing that I'm going to be doing this weekend. So I've got a Alpine Blossom video that I've been nurturing, or a cheese, sorry, not a video. So I made it in a Gruyere style, and what I've seen online, can I share? Let's have a look. Can I share my video production tab? No, it won't show me. All right, so that's no good. Unfortunately, I can't show that. But there is a cheese called Alpine Blossom, and basically what it is, it's a Gruyere style cheese, and it is then embedded or covered in Oh, Colin, thank you, Colin, for becoming a member. Appreciate that, mate. Thank you so much. What was I talking about? Yeah, so it's covered then in botanicals. So like lavender, rose petals, thyme, some oregano, and a few other ones that are in there. Tarragon, I think, is another one. Anyway, it'll be in the video when it comes out. But I'm going to be washing the cheese off with a brine solution. I'm going to be pressing the flowers into the brine, into the cheese surface, and then I'm going to vacuum pack the cheese and hopefully get the flowers into the rind of the cheese. Not all the way through. I don't want to destroy the rind, but yeah, into the rind, which will be really good. So that'll be really good, and so that's coming out soon. I'm going to be doing that work tomorrow, and probably about a week, maybe two. We'll see how it goes. That's when I will. That's when I'll bring the video out. That'll be cool. The next one I'm making is Yarg, which is it's not Welsh, it's from Cornwall. Close. So a Cornish cheese, and it's actually, what is it, Gary spelt backwards. So Yarg is a recipe that this guy called Gary, he found this recipe in his attic, apparently. This is the way the story goes. It's about 200 years old or something. And he decided to make it. And what it has, it's got stinging nettle leaves on the outside of the cheese, which is fantastic. So that'll be interesting. Tracy from Cheese Needs, who is in Canada, in the west coast of Canada, what's that called? British Columbia. She can't watch the show because it's a bit too early for her. She just did a video recently on her channel called cheeseneeds.com, and it looks really lovely. It's a fresh cheese. I'm going to eat it the same. I'm going to use Caerphilly as the base, which is from around that area, that style of cheese. So I'm going to use my normal, typical Caerphilly recipe, and I'm going to blanch. I've got some stinging nettles in the garden near the chook house, so I'll be picking those. I'll be blanching them for 10 seconds or so. And then I'm going to dry them off and then freeze them, and then I'll make the cheese. And then as the cheese comes out of the mold, and I've salted it a couple of times, I'm going to put the stinging nettles over the top of the cheese, all around the rind, and just paste them down with a little bit of lemon juice, I think is what they use. So the stinging nettles won't sting you, because once they've been blanched, the sting goes out of them, so it's no big deal. I've just got to be very careful when I'm picking them, so I'll need some gardening gloves, which I've got in my gardening shed, so that should be good fun. Anyway, so that's what I'm up to in the next couple of days. So yeah, thanks, Colin, and welcome to Fresh, new member. Thank you so much, mate. And he says, hi. And now Colin's over in Western Australia, if I remember rightly. So thanks, mate. Appreciate it. What's Worth on Earth says, edible flowers, do they go bad or lose their colour when you add them to the process? So, like I mentioned, you're not technically putting them into the cheese. You're just pressing them into the rind of the cheese. Now, I've chosen to do it when the cheese is mature. So, the cheese, and they do that without blossom, just before they sell it, they put the flowers on the outside. They don't do it at any other time. So the cheese is fully mature. So I don't think the colours will fade or anything like that. I've just got some dried flowers and dried herbs. I don't know. I don't think they use fresh, so it's all dried. But the dried ones that I've got some great colour. I've also got some, I think, calendula petals, which is a nice orangey yellow petal as well, which is edible. So yeah, I think it's going to be a very nice looking cheese. So yeah, great question. Thanks for that. Okay. Hopefully everybody's enjoying the show. You got some great questions coming in there. Don't forget that if you want to support the show, and there's an instant way to do it, is that you can light up the Curd Nerd light with a super chat. It's up to you, no obligation whatsoever, but you can certainly do it, that's for sure. And that gets the Curd Nerd light going. It's all very cool. Now, speaking of the flowers, What's Worth on Earth says, I thought of calendula as well. Yeah, lovely little flower. We use it in soap and all that sort of stuff as well. So, yeah, it's always good value. Okay, Comrade Catastrophe, welcome to the show. I just bought a 189 bottle wine cooler to use as a cheese cave, and I'm trying to figure out if I need to remove any shelves. Is there a place where I can see the exact measurements of the wheels? Right, it depends. So, the baskets that we sell here are 165 millimeters across. So they're wide, 165 millimeters, which is 6.5 inches. I'm not sure. Hang on, let me just convert that. Convert 165 millimeters to inches. Oh, she's not talking. 6.5 inches across. So yeah, that's what I do. Now, what I do, comrade, I would get some pine boards, some, about, what's that? 3/4 of an inch, maybe an inch thick, pine boards, and I would put them on the top of the racks. And that way, if you want to, you can naturally age the cheese on top of the pine boards. That's what all of the cheesemakers use, artisan cheesemakers, just normal pine boards, untreated, of course. And they put the cheese on them over and over again because that's where the cultures and the molds and all that funky stuff happens. So, yeah, try that. It'd be lovely. So, yeah, the exact measurements of cheese wheels, you're just going to have to check out what your molds are across. So hopefully that works. Alrighty. Next question is Karmic Vibes says it's too early for cheese. I'm on the bowl right now dealing with the cheese mess from yesterday. Oh, behave. It's never too early for cheese. I should have had some cheese, but I've just got some bland instead. Very nice. Hello, John. Lovely to see you and all those icons. I don't actually know what they all mean, but yeah, I like the Star Trek one. We come in peace. The Hobson, I think that's Hobson. Hi from Austria. Says, have you ever tried Austrian cheese? I went to Austria once. I can't remember if I had any Austrian cheese though. No. I think I was only there for about a day or so. So, and back then, when I was in my early 20s, I wasn't. Well, I'm not going to say I wasn't into cheese. Wasn't into cheese at the level that I am now. That's for sure. So, yeah. Look, if you've got some Austrian cheese recipes, we'll throw some names at me. I'll write them down, and we'll see if I can find any recipes. That would be very interesting. Very cool. Okay. Whew. Now, I obviously enjoy doing these live streams for you, but it's even more better with a small glass. I should have had my little glass, but this is all I had on them at the moment. Delicious. You could sit here and watch Gav drink bland all day, couldn't you? I'm sure. Alrighty. Right. What time is it? Right, we've been going for 40 minutes. If you've got any questions, shoot them in now, and we'll get to them. But if there's no questions in a minute, then I would I'll wrap the stream up. I didn't know how long we would do the Wednesday one, but yeah, there seems to be a decent lot of questions coming in. This one's from Cozy Cosimo, or Cosimo, said, would you recommend using fresh or dried herbs when adding to cheeses? Good question. Well, I've actually done both. So, what have I... Now, when I do a cheese called Cotswold, which is from the UK, it's also known as ploughman's cheese. It's a double Gloucester style cheese, and I add to that dried herbs in the form of dried chives, and I don't sanitize them or anything like that. I'd get them straight out of a little jar. Dried onions and dried garlic flakes. I don't rehydrate any of those. I just let the whey in the cheese rehydrate them. It's a fairly fresh sort of cheese. I think it only takes about 60 days to mature, between 60 days and 30 and 90 days, so 2 to 3 months, and that seems to work out all right. Also, chilies. With chilies, I do boil the chilies because I like a little bit of heat out of them, and I'll use dried chilies. I've used fresh chilies once in a jalapeno cheddar, which I grew myself. So I grew the jalapenos myself. I chopped them up and I boiled them for just a slight amount of time. I'm talking 2 or 3 minutes, just to make sure there was any yeasts or anything like that on the outside. But I gave them a good scrub in soapy water to start with before I cut them open, to get any yeast off them and all that sort of stuff. So just be careful when you're using fresh stuff, because you don't know if they're contaminated or not. Best if you wash them, obviously. And if if they lend themselves to being boiled for a couple of minutes, you can use the water that you boil those herbs or seeds, or like caraway or cumin or that sort of stuff, those spices. You can use the water in the milk before you add the rennet and all that sort of stuff. So that helps. Sheila, g'day, how are you? All the way in Tennessee. Must be very early there. Now, Mochi Bun says, I'm very tempted to get a cheese fridge, but I'm not sure how expensive they are to run. I imagine they're cheaper due to the higher temperature and infrequent opening compared to drink mini fridges. Here in Australia, and I think the comment from H7 Apollo says, don't worry about the cost. But yeah, true. Yeah, they are rarely on. Honestly, they hardly turn on at all. Mine's set between 10 and 13 degrees Celsius, and I probably hear it turn on about 5 times a day. So they hardly use any power at all. They don't vary very much unless you're opening the door all the time. And with a cheese cave, you're opening it at once a week tops. And obviously it's going to get a bit warmer in there when you've got the door open and you're turning all your cheeses and all that sort of stuff, as you normally should. But, yeah, so it will then turn on, obviously, to bring the temperature back down again from room temperature. It'll take it down to between 10 and 13. But, yeah, look, it doesn't cost a heck of a lot to run, power-wise. You know, obviously, the more energy efficient the fridge is, the better off you are. But most of those small bar fridges, here we have a star rating in Australia. I think it's 1 to 5 stars. The more stars it's got, the more energy efficient it is for that type of device. And the one I've got is 2.5 stars out of 5. But like I said, I've had an energy monitor on it for years that I can check remotely on my phone. And, you know, you'd be lucky if you use a kilowatt hour over a month. So 1 kilowatt hour here in Australia costs at peak 40 cents roughly for a month to run. So it's nothing. So now, however, if you had something like a humidifier in it as well, then you're going to raise the cost a little bit because you've got to run the power off of that as well. Cozy says they're from Albury in Albury is in Victoria. No, New South Wales. Albury, Wodonga. Wodonga's in Victoria. Right, okay, I'll get that right. Just for fun, would you enjoy if your neighbour had a cow for your milk instead of and asked you help milking exchange for the milk? Yeah, I'd do that. I wouldn't do the morning milking. I'd do the afternoon milking. But yeah, look, there are a lot of schemes these days because a lot of governments now ban the sale of raw milk direct to the public for whatever reason. I don't know why. A lot of the dairies have strict hygiene and they get tested. Their raw milk gets tested here in Australia. So it's very interesting. So yeah, they do have things called cow shares now, or milk shares, where you pay a certain amount of money towards the cost of maintaining that dairy animal, whether it's a goat or cow or sheep, and you get a certain amount of litres of milk per week. So yeah, there are cow shares out there. That would be the best way. I wouldn't milking the cow yourself. Get a farmer to do it. They're trained. That's what I do. Anyway, Cool Cat says, I made it here. Greetings, Gavin. Hey, stream chat cheeseheads. We can call them curd nerds. Anyway, g'day, Cool Cat. Lovely to see you, mate. The Hobson says, family friend wrote an Austrian cheese/milk cookbook. I will try to translate them and send them your way. One of my favourite is Enstala. I can't steer a cars, which is from my region. I hope I said that right. I'm not very good at foreign languages. I have enough trouble with English, honestly. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. That'd be fantastic. Now, if you want to send it to me, there is a place where you can send me things, email-wise. I'll just bring that up. Can we go? Here we go. So if you go to the channel page, if you want to email me any photos for gallery on Saturday, or even if you just when you email me specifically state which show, which Wednesday or the Sunday show, just go to the channel page and go to the About tab. So there's the home page. Go to the About tab, which is the last one before the search, and go down here. It says for business inquiries, view the email address. So click on there. There'll be a little capture, and you can then send whatever emails to me. I don't really answer too many, help questions where they go, help me, I'm making cheese right now. Email's not that kind of medium, and I'm not a consultant. I'm not going to go through a whole bunch of troubleshooting for you. I produce what I produce, and that seems to be it. But if you've got photos, I'd love to put them in the gallery. If you've got recipes, even better. If you've got recipes in a different language that you're able to translate, and I will get to them. I've done some recently. So Lipa Juusto from Finland, somebody sent me that recipe, and I absolutely had to try it. So it was really good. So yeah, so if you've got something and you want to send it to me, that's how to do it. That's the best place anyway. Just before we wrap up, Mochi Bun's got a question saying, with international imports of European raw milk cheeses becoming legal, do you feel worried for the local industry? There's not a lot of raw milk cheeses from Europe coming here to Australia, but yeah, the artisan cheese industry here, I think they're well embedded. And there are companies that do distribute their cheese stuff. So like, for instance, Cheese Therapy. So Cheese Therapy, the guys over there, Sam and Helen, who run Cheese Therapy, do a great job on showcasing artisan cheeses and selling them to the public via mail order. And that's what they do. So there's been some fantastic boosts, certainly, to the cheese industry, especially during the first year of COVID in 2020, where all of those producers, all those artisan cheesemakers couldn't sell their cheese because there were no markets. Restaurants were closed, so they couldn't buy the cheese. Restaurants couldn't buy the cheese from them. So companies like Cheese Therapy stepped up and started contacting all the artisan cheesemakers. They did have a few on board, but they got a whole bunch more on board and started selling the cheese for them. So people like me, certainly during the pandemic, I couldn't make enough cheese because at one stage I couldn't even get the milk myself. So I started buying, interesting cheeses from Australian artisan cheesemakers from Cheese Therapy. So I highly recommend them. They're a great service. And the cheese always arrives to you cold. Certainly did when I bought it anyway. I haven't bought some for about 4 months, but it arrives cold in a cryo pack type thing. So it was very good. So anyway, you can do that. Cozy says, have you ever tried to make liven cheese? No, I have not. I don't even know what that is. Oh, I don't know all the cheeses. I just like eating all the cheeses. How do you spell that? Lighghan. I'll have a look. Hope that's not a joke. But yes, we'll check it out. Yeah, so look, that question from Mochi around the European raw cheeses, look, I think that is of concern for some people, but look, if they've got an established market, they should be fine. Cozy says it's a Persian-style cheese similar to feta. I'll check it out. Nasmus says, why is my Edam cheese have a bitter aftertaste? Good question. Usually bitter aftertastes are caused by not enough salt, so you may not have brined your Edam enough. Also, maybe too much rennet tends to sometimes cause a little bit of bitterness, or it hasn't been aged long enough. So it's three main things. The main thing is not enough salt, usually. And the bitterness is caused by peptides in the cheese. I've got to remember if I got this right. Peptides in the cheese that don't dissipate because there's not enough salt there. Anyway, so that's what it is. Okay. Thanks for that question. Anyway, I think that'll do for today, unless anybody's got any other burning questions. I'm going to call it a wrap today, so that's a good 50 minutes. So thanks, everybody. I really appreciate it. And thanks once again to all the financial members, both on YouTube memberships and on Patreon, for supporting the channel financially. It really does help and keeps us in milk, equipment, all that sort of stuff. It's been fantastic. So, that would be a wrap for today. So these Wednesday shows are going to continue on. It looks like we've certainly got enough people asking questions, so that has kept the show. If there's any segments that you think would be good in there, other than, say, a gallery, or if there is a gallery specific for viewers from this part of the world that can watch it at this time. So basically everybody except North America and South America. So the rest of the world seems to have a fairly good time zone for this time during the week. Anyway, all very cool. Thank you very much for watching, Curd Nerds. I really appreciate it. And I will see you next Sunday, my time, if you are around at that time. We got a holiday tomorrow here in Australia for the National Day of Mourning for Queen Elizabeth II. As Monique has definitely said there, yes, we do have a public holiday. And here in Victoria, we have another public holiday. And you wouldn't guess what it's for. It's actually for the grand final, the Australian Football League grand final. We get a holiday. It's just craziness. Anyway, I'll take the holiday. So we've got a 4-day weekend. So that should be good fun. And we won't be shipping. So Kim and I are just going to do a few things in the background for our business. Just take it easy over the next 4 days. Anyway, thanks for watching, Curd Nerds, and I'll see you on the Sunday morning show at 8 a.m. my time. It'll be episode 227. Watch out for that one. and then we'll have another one next Wednesday. So, catch you later. See ya. Bye-bye.